Hi! Today we will share some knowledge on environmental cost management. But before we go further, let us define the premise. Environmental means pertaining to the environment, while cost in other hand mean amount of money or time that is required, and as for management it means the process or practice of managing. So based on topic, our sharing for today will be focusing on the process of how do the organization manage their environmental costs. Environmental cost management can be simply understood as a cost that an organization incurs to prevent, monitor, and report environmental impact. It is also related to a cost failing to comply with environmental regulation. Let's take a look on this analogy. A supermarket provides a plastic bag to their customer. One day they realize that plastic bag contains some type of harmful chemical and plastic is not disposable. It has harmed thousands of species of ocean wildlife each year because of the irresponsible act of humans. Then they changed the policy by not providing the plastic bag and changed it to grocery bag that are made from cotton. The cost related to change the plastic bag to grocery bag is known as environmental cost. For every organization, an environmental cost is very important. It will affect the internal and external side of the organization. The organization that acts seriously on their environmental costs will get some benefit through it. One of it is the organization can increase the reputation or credibility of the business. Second, the organization will have better monitoring of the problem related to the environment. Third, the resources will efficiently be improved and be utilized on preparing the product. So, what is environmental management accounting? As per International Federation of Accountants 1998, environmental management accounting is defined as management of environmental and economic performance by developing and implementing appropriate environment-related systems and practices. This might include reporting and auditing in some companies. Environmental management accounting basically involves life cycle costing, benefit assessment, full cost accounting, and strategic planning for environmental management. In a simple word, environmental management accounting is a system that identifies, collects, analyzes, estimates, reports, and uses information related to environmental costs that are used to make decisions within a firm. An organization decision makers can use the physical flow information and cost information provided by environmental management accounting to make decisions that impact both the environmental and financial performance of the organization. According to Kirhoglu and Ken, environmental management accounting, whose overall objective is to produce environmental information, it tries to explain the interaction between human being and the environment. For this reason, environmental accounting should be capable of producing the necessary useful information, not only at the macro level but also in micro level. The information we use by the organization to make a better decision making. Now let's move to the next part, which is measuring economic and social impact of environmental costs. Firstly, we need to know there are few examples of aspects and performance indicators under the GRI framework. First is the economic performance, which indicates by direct economic value generated and distributed, including revenues, operating costs, employee compensation, donation and other community investment, retained earnings and payments to capital providers and governments. Second is the market present, which indicates by policy, practices, and proportion of spending on locally based suppliers at significant location of operation. The third one is indirect economic impact, which indicates by the development and impact of infrastructure investment and services provided primarily for public benefit through commercial in kind of. First, let's focus on the economic impacts of environmental costs. Literally, economic impacts of environmental costs also includes measuring the cost of control systems to minimize discharge into rivers and emission into air, packaging costs, cost of collecting and disposing waste, cost of a new wastewater treatment plant, and the per capita income. A study made by Stephen M. Mayer states that the environmental cost contributes to annual manufacturing employment growth and annual business failure rates. The strong environmental policies have a positive relation with the growth of annual manufacturing employment. The study also showed a positive coefficient that stronger environmental policies would experience a higher rate of business failure. So, what method do we use in measuring economic impacts of environmental costs? It is environmental accounting method. Environmental accounting method is the method of calculation representing the environmental cost, and it is a system of planning and managing the environmental performance that should reflect the managerial style and commitment of the economic entity management to the environment. Next is social impacts of environmental costs. It involves both external and internal stakeholders. There are four main elements to measure social value creation, which are inputs, outputs, outcomes, and impacts. First is inputs. Inputs is where resources invested in the activity. For example, the cost measured is the cost of equipment for running a computer training program. The second element is outputs. It is the direct and tangible result of the business activity or program. For example, there are 30 people learn new computer skills as a result of the computer training program. The third one is outcomes. It is the changes happen to the people resulting from the activity or program. For example, the number of people that started to work and improved their personal circumstances as a result of the computer training program. Furthermore, this outcome can be measured in their own terms, for example, the value of their increased income. The fourth one is the impact. It is an outcome less an estimate of what would have happened anyway. For example, the impact of this computer training program has resulted 2 out of 20 programmers would have found jobs on their own. So, how can we measure the social impact? Firstly, it is important for organizations to know what outputs do they measure. An organization needs to have an objective that includes the theory of change, where the outputs measure progress towards achieving that change through an organization's work. For example, the outputs could be the participation rate or number of people who sign up for the computer training program, with the objective of the computer training program can contribute to the improvement of skills of workers and increase the value of income as well as increases the quality of production or operation. Secondly, an organization needs to know the objectives of different stakeholders, and this will lead to new sources of value creation. As the organization carry on their activities or programs, they need to measure their value by prioritizing the stakeholder needs. For example, an organization must first identify and prioritize all their stakeholders, the society at large as well as the environment, and then consult with them to identify common priorities. Then measure the progress towards achieving the organization objectives and understand whether the stakeholders' objectives match or conflict with the organization objectives. Lastly, tell the stakeholder what you are doing well and where you could improve and your future goals. Last but not least is the social return on investment. Social return on investment is a way to monetize the value of the social impact in financial terms. Social return on investment ratio is calculated by dividing the value of your social impact by the investments required to achieve that impact.
Next, let's proceed on the current initiative in environmental related to the management accounting. Nowadays, there is a rising number of organizations that recognize the potential monetary rewards of improved environmental performance. Therefore, initiatives taken to enhancing efficiency in the use of energy, water, and other raw material which brings environmental improvements. First, the current initiative in use is technical assistance and implementation. The technical assistance such as financial analysis of waste minimizations and pollution prevention projects, and also innovative materials tracking program for an organization uses to assess its pollution prevention progress. The implementation will be on data collection consist of physical information and monetary information. Physical information may not provide all data needed for effectively managing the environment, but essential information for accounting function which can provide to the development of many environmental related costs. Whereby monetary information is depending on organization view of what is environmental economic, their environmental goals and other reasons related with environmental costs. Second initiative will be curriculum development and training, meaning the organization take initiative in providing or conducting course or training to educate at all levels. Third, software development is another current initiative. There are many software packages are now available at low or no cost. For example, a series of software packages called P2 Finance and E2 Finance, which is for the profitability assessment of pollution prevention, cleaner production, energy efficiency, also other environmental and energy investment projects. In conclusion, with the current initiative implemented so that the organization able to design environmentally sensitive products and services for increasingly green business and consumer markets.
Total quality management TQM is where the organization was in the situation of continuous quality improvement. Quality now is a key competitive variable in both the service and manufacturing organization. Besides, various studies shows that an organization that neglects the continuous quality improvement tends to lose its revenue and market share in the near future. Now, let's discuss on TQM's 4 categories of costs that should best complement the environmental cost management. The 4 types of costs are prevention costs, appraisal costs, internal failure costs, and external failure costs. Prevention costs are the costs that incurred to prevent the production of product or service that does not meet the specification or quality standard. In ECM, it is the costs to prevent the production of harmful waste that can bring damage to the environment. For example, a machine that screens the waste before it is being released to the river. Appraisal costs are the costs that incurred to ensure the product or service meets the quality standard. In terms of ECM, it is the expenditure made to monitor how a company's activities, product and process affect the environment. For example, cost of process to ensure regulatory compliance and contamination test. Internal failure costs are the costs that incurred if the product or service does not meet the quality standard after the appraisal effort. For example, repairing costs and scrap costs. For ECM, it is the expenditures made to correct environmental breakdowns discovered in appraisal efforts. For instance, costs of waste reprocessing and scrap recycling. Lastly, external failure costs. This is the costs that are incurred after the product or service does not meet the quality standard even after it was already being delivered. In ECM, it is the expenditure incurred when the resolution or any remediation efforts fall outside the control of the company's management. This usually will include the appropriate authority to come out with the corrective measure. For example, cost of cleaning up the affected soil and restoring the river ecosystem. Therefore, although TQM is merely a philosophy, it is one of the best methods that can be used in environmental cost management. This is because organizations can analyze the costs that they will incur in each categories of cost. In our opinion, companies should invest more on the environmental prevention cost as it will lower the other categories of cost in the long run. In a nutshell, environmental matters are not just the concern of certain organizations. Instead, it is the concern of various stakeholder groups such as the customer, supplier, investor, employee, shareholder, the citizen, and even the nature itself. Therefore, organizations should take serious thoughts of managing and reporting their environmental footprint.
Created using Powtoon.